Welcome back to the Gigs Way Podcast.
Welcome.
Well, we have some shameless plugs, all right?
We're going to start. You've already seen the title of this episode, so you already know what we're going to talk about. But there's one thing you don't know that we're going to talk about.
And it's this pen, because this pen is the best pen
Yes.
on... No, it's not. It's not this pen.
It is. It's a great pen that my wife gave him.
It is.
I wrote a book. It's a book mostly not with words. But if you're watching right now, you can see it. I'm holding it up. If you're not, it's a guitar book to help people play the guitar more fluently. It's called Fretboard Fluency, available now on Amazon. I want to sell more copies of this book, which is why I'm shamelessly plugging it.
Yep.
But also, I legitimately think it's a good and helpful book.
It's the first time I've actually understood music theory when you explained how some of the ways that you created the book. It is really cool.
So I wrote all my own script and advertising and like all this stuff on the back cover and fun pages talking about like why I did this book or whatever. But here's a first time exclusive for the podcast. I'm going to tell you what made me want to write this book. Yeah. Other than the one event in the first page that it's like I forgot my capo and I was drowning.
And you were freaking out.
Basically, when I was growing up, my mom's an accountant, my dad's an engineer, so I am genetically a math and science kid. But then I started playing drums at church, and it felt like, music's just kind of random. Somebody somewhere got these chords for this song from Mount Sinai, brought them down, and God made these chords work together in His divine providence. It's a mystery we'll never understand. And then senior year of high school, I took my first music theory course, and I was like, oh, it's a language. Yep. So it can be scientifically studied and regimented is not the right word, but just like deconstructed and understood like any language. Yep. Where it's like, is a language kind of random? Yeah, it's a person trying to communicate meaning to another person. But also, does it have structure? Yeah, verbs and adverbs and nouns and whatever, and punctuation and all that. And so that understanding of music theory made music make so much more sense. And now you could have a really good educated guess on what chords were going to show up after the chord you're playing with very little information. And
it shows up, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Yeah. Most of the time people realize that music theory exists after they like learn a certain amount of music or they get to a certain level. And a lot of times the signs that someone like understands music theory first is like their ear is attuned and they can almost guess what's coming next just by their ear.
And that's the thing. There's a trend among like Nashville level session studio musicians, the guys who you're going to record an album and you go in and you're like, I need a lap steel guitar player. And they walk in and they just kind of know this song that nobody's ever heard. Yeah. They just kind of get it before they really should understand it. Yep. And they just start playing on top of it and it's great. And you're like, whoa, what a mystical, cool skill. Yeah, but also
2 + 2 = 4.
They know the math and science behind music. And so really that's what this book is I'm going to open up to a middle-y page to kind of show you what's happening. It's just a bunch of chord shapes. Yep. And you can look up chord shapes online. You can find whatever chord shapes you need. Yep. But almost certainly you will not find chord shapes that are set out in keys by their Nashville number that are fretted to be easy to get from one to the other. Yep. So like the beginner G shapes I learned were really like you pick up all of your fingers and you move all of them to a new spot. And then after that, I learned the like cheater G chords, and you keep a lot of your fingers down, and it's messy and muddy sounding and whatever. I have both of those in here as ways to play in the key of G, and then I have more ways to play in the key of G on top of that. And so you can choose what you like that sounds the best, and you can start to see based on where chords are placed on the page and the Nashville number under them. Okay, if I move this to a new key, I can still play 1, 5, 6, 4. I just have to flip to that page and see what is 1 in this key, what is 5 in this key. Yep. So anyway, you could learn as a total beginner from this and do great. There is stuff that's missing if you're a total beginner, but pretty much anybody else. If anything I said intrigues you, even how do I know more open chord shapes? How do I know more big chord shapes to strum along to whatever?
Yep.
How do I think between keys pretty easily? This book will help you.
I think it'd be something that you would reference no matter your skill level.
Yeah.
And it could be something that easily could help you even teach or translate it to another person.
Yep.
And it's just it's a simple, well thought through, clear tool.
Yeah. And it's great even for like...
and I'm not even a musician, and I can tell that.
Trevor does know how to play the guitar a little bit, but he will not tell you that.
I will capo everything and play 4 chords that I learned.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of what this book would be wanting me to learn.
But it's meant to be as useful as possible. So if you only know those 4, flip open to a new page and like put something on it to lay it flat.
Yep.
And then you can strum through some new chords to play the same song but in a new key.
I just think as you're looking up chords and stuff online and you're finding a song that you love, this would be a book that you could look and reference and learn how to play that song in a shape that's easier for you or challenging for you and may sound even different or better.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Agreed. Anyway,
pick it up.
Check it out.
Get it.
Done.
Hey, and now back to what we're really going to talk about.
The most important thing we've ever talked about on this podcast.
I'm not going to lie. It might be the most exciting thing or at least the most excited I've been about this topic in a long time. I before we get to it, because you've already seen the title.
Yeah, you know what's happening.
Before we get to it, let me just say this. When you think about the DC universe, what was your first introduction to the DC universe?
Great
what was
question.
the thing that like pops into your head first?
It is Justice League, the animated series. I don't know if that's the name, but it's it's really Justice League Unlimited, where instead of the 7 or so normal Justice League members, it's like 100.
Yep.
And so in random episodes, they can pull out kind of side characters, like we're doing in our sermon series, supporting cast members. And
it's
you
not
just
the
watch
Justice
full
team.
episodes. It's not the Justice Gang. Yeah,
that's fun.
So to me, that is what it is.
So here's what's crazy about my introduction to the DC universe. My introduction to the DC universe is one of the oldest cartoons of Superman. It's what is it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman, as fast as a speeding bullet, can jump over buildings in a single bound. You know, all that original. I think
Back
they're
when
from
people were still saying bound.
Yeah. It's like I don't know the origin of those, but I think they're from like the 20s or 30s.
I think DC started in like the 30s, 40s, 50s. Because I feel like Stan Lee and Marvel were about the same age of comics, and he just died. So he would have been like born in the 20s, maybe 30s. So it probably started like 40s, 50s.
40s. Yep. That's absolutely the original Superman that I had in my head.
Yeah.
And like the series and everything they pull off of that. But then if I fast forward to actually feeling like I understand it was more than just a person and it was actually the universe, it was the original Batman. Like
animated
series that was so good and like
incredible.
It was such a well done. And then the Superman cartoon, and it was really well done too. But it was on cable, so I couldn't see it as easily. But I really enjoyed it. And then I would say my most recent like enjoyment of a Superman movie, Man of Steel, was pretty good. I really enjoyed Man of Steel to a degree. The Snyder cut of the Justice League, I really enjoyed, although it has some large things that I wish were different. But as a whole, let's just be real here as we jump into this topic. Marvel came in hot and just dominated
the past like 15 years.
Dominated. I mean, they are the Celtics of the NBA at this point. They're just winning every championship. They are the LA Lakers during the Showtime. I mean, they are just so stinking good, and all the movies. And now they've hit kind of a lull in recent years. They just haven't had as many bangers. Things have not been going as well. And I think we also had, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I had a little bit of like superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, another
the
movie
same
about
stories are played out. The same, like how many worst of all time new supervillains can we get?
Yep.
And especially after Thanos, like
Nothing.
What's even left?
Yep.
So I feel that, but there's always been a difference to me between Marvel and DC. Even like from the cartoons and all the stuff before, it feels like Marvel in general, not just the movies in the past 15 years, feels like Marvel is a little more cut and dry, a little more optimistic.
Yep.
a little less dark,
a little less grungy.
Yeah, that's why I loved DC. Was like how like these people can have these incredible powers. Probably it feels like DC leans on stronger powers.
Yep,
they borrow from each other so much.
They do.
But like they lean on even stronger levels of people's powers, but then more character darkness, more dark storylines, more whatever.
Their origin stories are always more dark in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even Superman, it's like his whole family, his whole planet's dead. And that's like how he starts. Like, that's crazy. You know, like Iron Man doesn't have, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing in the Marvel universe.
Well, think about it. Like, Iron Man and Batman are pretty closely related.
Yep.
In that they are both non-enhanced humans.
Yep.
They have money and technology, and that's what they use to keep up with enhanced humans, or that's what DC uses as metahumans. But like some of them aren't humans. Martian Manhunter, it's in the name. Martian.
The name. Yep.
Superman from Krypton, not a human.
Yep. Well, and Thor's the same way. I mean, it's the exact same way. Like there's lots of those
enhanced individuals.
So here's where we're gonna tell you, if you're listening and you have not seen the new Superman movie, we are going to talk about some spoilers. Hopefully we'll do it in a way that won't ruin the movie if you still want to continue to listen. But I believe what we watched last week could be the dawn of a new era of superhero movies that I am actually like thinking about what could be in a very like exciting way.
And it's different than just there was a good DC movie or there was a good Marvel movie. It feels like all these movies have a momentum that carries to other movies. And so really all of the good Marvel movies since Endgame are like a moment where in Marvel tripping and falling, they kind of like catch a good footing for a second, but they still have the momentum of tripping and falling. And so they're going to stumble into the next movie and it's not going to be that great and whatever.
And we're going to get to this, but I really think the villain is the number one reason that they're struggling. There's just not a person behind all of the things that have occurred in the recent Marvel movies. And this is why I think I'm curious to see the direction that Superman and DC is going to go.
So even though I liked Man of Steel in 2015 or whatever, the momentum of that with Ben Affleck being Batman and then Batman versus Superman, whatever, was not great.
No.
I liked Wonder Woman, the first movie.
The first one was good. 1984 was terrible.
Okay, 1984 was terrible. Terrible-ish. I thought What's His Bucket was a great villain in there. But they had two villains. The guy everybody loves right now. Who's in Last of Us and can't think of his name.
I have it on the tip of my Pedro
Pascal.
Pedro.
He was a great villain in 84. But anyway, they had bad momentum as a universe, even though I liked Man of Steel. Where this new Superman movie comes in, it feels like it was both a good, solidly good, maybe even great movie. And like the world it's creating could have good momentum to where it could pull a Marvel and have like, I don't know, it could be solid.
So I've been thinking about this a lot, Ryan. So and it's good that we haven't been talking about this because it'll be fresh. Like these are not like prepared thoughts. It's just like we normally do. We're just going with the flow. But we watched it last week, and here's what I'll tell you about the new Superman movie. It was not like any DC movie I've ever seen. I felt like it was as fresh and original for a DC plot as I've seen in a very long time. It still had some good grunge and grit to it, but as a whole, it felt lighter, fresher. It felt like it had perspective. It knew what it was, and it stayed consistent the entire time. But what really started to click for me was how similar it felt to the first Iron Man. It feels like just a good bare bones like start to the potential momentum. It's not Iron Man's not the best Marvel movie, but it's really good. And it's something that like when you go to rewatch the movies, it's hard to not want to start with that, right?
Yeah.
This felt, and I haven't rewatched it, so I gotta see if the rewatchability is there. Have you seen it?
There was some stuff in Iron Man 1 that was sort of cringy now looking back at it. And I mean cringy as in when Disney bought Marvel, they really cleaned a lot of stuff up.
Yep.
There's less like innuendo and less language and less whatever. And so it feels really awkward knowing that that's what Marvel is now.
Yep.
But then going back and seeing Iron Man 1 where none of that was done.
Yep.
Superman to me felt way more put together in some of those little ways.
For sure.
It already had an identity rather than it could be the start of an identity. It was like it's already actually good.
Oh, and I couldn't agree more. And part of that is because it, here's the spoilers. Okay, so like I've warned you enough times now if you don't want to know. But Superman isn't an origin story. Like this movie is not an origin start.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I think it gets the pass on that. Is because it doesn't have to rewrite that origin.
It's more like a Justice League origin movie that focuses on Superman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing about Iron Man is I didn't know how Iron Man's origin. I'd never heard that before. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
And so part of the reason it got the launch was because of how fresh it felt. And that's, I guess, why I'm saying it's not similar in the sense of like, you're right. It's more polished. It's more put together. Yeah. It's actually moving the story forward. It's actually getting us to a place where we can predict it.
But it wasn't like Man of Steel, which had the full origin story.
Exactly. And so the way they start this movie, I have been thinking about it a lot. It was probably the smartest.
Yeah.
I mean, James Gunn, obviously we know his skills. He loves to have quirky little humor. He loves to make characters feel relatable.
Yeah.
He loves to make characters have the full spectrum. So if they're going to be really strong, they're also going to have moments of really weak. Like he loves to show all that.
They have to try to be their best selves. They aren't just automatically their best selves. And that's what I love about DC. I feel like he really nailed DC in that they always do that.
And so the start of the movie is, 3 years ago this, 3 months ago this, 3 days ago this, 3 hours ago this. And then it's like, boom, you're into the story. And that was just such a fun way of like letting the audience know, we know all the things that probably led up to this in some famous, because you've watched this story how many times?
You watched it 9 years ago.
So he just does, it's such a brilliant way of just going like, this isn't a story you've heard before. Like this isn't the story you heard before.
But also they reference every part of the origin story that you would need to know. He's from Krypton. He's raised in Kansas. He
Fortress of Solitude
plays his parents' message back.
Yep.
His original alien, his birth parents.
Turn too. That's such a good turn. I did not see that coming.
I bet that's canon somewhere. I
know. But see, that's that freshness that I felt like with Iron Man, where you're like getting like this part.
It feels like it took Marvel 10 years to get Captain America from Goody Two Shoes to Civil War, where he's like questioning the government. And what if they want me to do something wrong or refrain from doing something good?
Yep.
And he goes from total government pawn, and I mean that with the most sincerity.
Yeah.
He's from World War II. That's exactly the attitude you have toward the American government. But he goes slowly backwards on his trust in the authority and whatever. You watch Superman do that in one movie, but very authentically too.
So let's just hit highlights here, because if you've clicked on this and you wanna be I think in the know, if you haven't seen it, please go watch the new Superman. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. I'm actually planning to take my two oldest to see it, because I just think they're going to, and I want them to go on this ride. If it's going to be a good ride, I want them to hit the first movie in the theater. And I do think there are some cinematic shots in this movie that were epic.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want to see this on IMAX. Like I want to see what that looks like. He comes out of that building when he lifts it, and it's like hazy dust, and like the sun's right behind him. I'm like, I would have had that on my wall if I was a kid. Like that would have been the poster. Yeah. So here's the highlights for me of what I loved about this movie. One, I love the direction and the casting with the human side of Superman. It's probably the weakest version of Superman when it comes to displaying his powers, because of the amount of times that the fights feel like he's losing, or he's trying to figure out what to do. Like there's multiple times where he's like fighting that giant monster, and he's like, I don't know how to fix this. Like, all my powers, I don't know what to do. And then the others, I just felt like they hit the nail on the head with some of the side characters that felt like they weren't just thrown in for added comedic value or added in just to try to keep you interested beyond what Superman. I felt like I want to watch them come together as a team. I want to see more with them in it. And so by the end, I'm going, I want to know what the next movie is going to be. And that is just not a DC. I never looked at my phone and checked the time. I wasn't like, it was like, I was all in.
All the characters that had any majority role were compelling. Yeah. So I would agree with that whole thing. Casting was a huge thing for me, that the guy who played Superman, when I heard it wasn't Henry Cavill, I was like, oh no, he's the perfect Superman. And then I saw this one, I was like, that's a great take.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at all. That's how I felt about Robert Pattinson in the Batman.
I was exactly the same way. I went in going, he's not going to be able to pull this off. And then that first fight in the subway, I was like, I think he's Batman. Like,
I think he's more Batman. He's the best Batman we've had in 10 years.
Exactly. I was like, holy smokes.
But the casting from the actual actor who played Superman, Rachel Brosnahan, who played Lois Lane, she did a great job. You mentioned this as a critique, and I immediately disagreed with it, where you were like, isn't she supposed to be kind of BA?
Yeah.
But there are moments where she's not. And I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
She has to fight.
But that's a James Gunn. That's a James Gunn thing. But I didn't realize that that's what he wants, is all the characters have to have both those moments.
And that's why Sharon said this for a long time. If you ever ask Sharon who her favorite Avenger is, she'll say Loki.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same reason that if you ask her who her favorite person in Harry Potter is, she'd probably say Snape.
Snape, yeah.
Is that the anti-hero is such a good character in a story for being compelling, because they know and they're familiar with both good and evil.
Yeah.
And so at every moment where they have to make a choice, they could choose one or the other.
Yep.
They're actually struggling all the time to do good or to be self-serving. To cower and be safe under the leadership of some malevolent dictator, or to rise up and join the side of good and whatever. And that's the part I loved about the casting and the direction of this movie, is everybody makes those decisions.
Yes.
So you watch Superman be frustrated and probably want to break things at how cornered he feels and outsmarted. And then choose the optimism he should have. You watch Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane be inquisitive and ask the hard questions and be tough, but also just be a human woman. Not a Green Lantern, not a Kryptonian, not invincible in any way. And so you watch her with fear in her eyes in certain like physical situations. And it's like, that's exactly what a real life Lois Lane would do.
I felt like the movie did this thing too, Ryan. Maybe you agree or disagree with me, but there's a scene particularly, and it's actually in the trailer, where they're like in this dark kind of like bedroom or a hallway or office, and it's after kind of the crowd is turned on Superman, and he's feeling betrayed because the full message is
There's that
out.
shot in the trailer of Superman walking away from a crowd in slow motion, and they're all yelling at him, and a guy throws a disposable coffee cup in the back of his head, and it bounces off.
And so the scene right after that, there's this fight that's going on in the background with the Justice Gang.
Yes.
And they're up, and Superman is sitting in a chair, and he is totally just dismantled. I think he just feels betrayed. His whole life has kind of been a lie, and there's these things that he's having to think through. And that felt like such a depiction of how every person in the world, I think, feels right now.
Yeah.
It felt like you don't know who to trust. You don't know what to do. We don't know how to move forward.
Even if you want to do what's right, what do you do to do the thing that's right?
Or have I somehow contributed to like things being this wrong? And you just go, but you're Superman. Like, and it's, I my mind is like the gospel side of this thing, where I'm just kind of like, God's looking at you like, those aren't your problems to fix. You just need to be who I made you to be.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
trust
okay.
in the
And
Lord.
trust in the Lord. And exactly. And Lois does such a good job of walking him through and listening to him. Yeah. And they have this like moment where they come together, and it felt so genuine in the sense of like why he's going to finish this movie and do what he does, why he's going to continue the way that he is. And it felt so good. And then when it connected to when he goes to his parents' house and he's sitting on the front porch with his dad.
And his dad talks to him about the same stuff.
Gosh, those two scenes were worth the whole movie to me.
This is why I loved Superman, is you were talking about how it felt like Iron Man 1, felt like constructing a world and it has good momentum. and it's a good, solid movie, but it could lead to even better or other good movies. I felt like it was a lot like Iron Man 3 in the conflict. Yeah. So Iron Man 1 is somebody stole my tech and I have to fight him. Iron Man 2 is somebody stole my tech and I have to fight him. Iron Man 3 is I dropped Sokovia on Sokovia. I did all this stuff. Thanos is coming or whatever. And like we were reading on Getting Out of Bed in our book club review, mental suffering, anxiety, whatever. He's slowly kind of being fighting poisoned. Himself. Yeah. And so part of the conflict is him and his own mind and his fears and insecurities and his worry about the security of the future and his ability to help and be enough when that shows up, and villains that are trying to like mind trick him. So the Ben Kingsley, when
those missiles hit
what's the villain's name? It has like Orient in it or something.
Yeah, it's just an actor. It's not really.
Yeah.
And I remember that scene with the missiles hitting his house. That's all I remember from that one.
And so it's almost like a thriller in that way. It's not totally a thriller, but part of the conflict in the villain is his own mind and his own ability to make it through this. And so you watch the fear in him and how he's like got a suit of armor, but it kind of crumbles and the man underneath is whatever. That's a little bit of what's going on in a superhero movie, that Superman is more powerful than anything, but has been outsmarted so many times. And his desire to do the next right thing is used against him a handful of times to where he's distracted by doing something right and leaves something wrong unhelped. And because he can't be in two places at once, no matter how fast he is.
And as much as I loved, and I don't mean to cut you up, but as much as I loved, Iron Man 1, the villain really isn't that great, and if that makes sense. Like he's all right. He's okay. It's not really, it's much more about him waking up to the reality of like where things are at and his potential, right? This one has Lex Luthor, which Lex Luthor has probably
Superman villain.
I mean, he's the Joker, right? I mean, he's the natural
he's the Joker to Batman.
He's the natural protagonist of like, this is what he's going to always have to fight. But I think what they did such a good job in this is they flexed his muscle, and that was his mind. He was so good at playing chess while Superman's just playing checkers. And he's just saying, no, it's right or wrong. It's right or wrong. And he's trying to put Superman in positions where it's gray, and he has to decide what he's going to do.
Without telling you what happens, there's a moment in the movie that's so good where Lex Luthor creates a catastrophe somewhere. He's like on the ropes a little bit. Superman has done one thing that he didn't expect. He's like, okay, we need a backup plan. And he creates a catastrophe somewhere that's very visible. And his staff next to him, all these other people are like, what are you doing? And he was like, now we know where he's going to be. He uses his optimism and his desire to help and make the world a better place against him. So like you're watching him be heartless and cruel, but really, really smart.
It is a great villain, great introduction. I know there are larger villains in the DC universe, especially if they're going to turn it into Justice League.
Which Lex Luthor is kind of like an evil Iron Man.
Well,
Dr. Doom is similar, but in Marvel, but he's more magic and other stuff. He's like, scientists let me down. I need to go to magic. Lex Luthor is just a genius.
He is, and he is an evil Iron Man, but also has moments like Loki, where like the Earth is threatened, and all of a sudden he's like, "Look, we'll finish our fight later. We just gotta get this guy out of here so we can finish our fight." I think one of my favorite scenes, obviously, is the scene with his parents and the dad and the conversation there, but also the dog. I was so nervous about the dog because I don't like poor CGI. I don't like silly characters that I feel like are just there to people are like, oh, I love dogs and I want to go see Superman because of the dog. And I'm like, ugh. It felt by the end when they reveal like the whole situation and why he
I knew that walking in because of the
I was like, I had no idea. And so in my mind, it was a fresh, fun thing where I was like, oh, this actually has a little bit of a point.
The dog was done well because it was a super-powered, disobedient dog.
Yep.
Not helpful most of the time.
Unless it was being manipulated. It was being manipulated. But you know, the scene after, you know, with Lex Luthor at the end was such a fun scene. And the ones where he's breaking things that he's not supposed to be breaking. And there's just so many good things that I felt like. And honestly, without, you know, spoiling too much, because it won't really spoil much, but the opening of the movie is the 3-minute trailer that has been released. And so, you know, that is a really fun intro to like the whole world and where he's at and currently. And I thought the Fortress of Solitude was done really well as well. I really enjoyed that. And there's a lot to the movie that Nathan Fillion is one of my favorites. I've loved him since Firefly.
So this was a Green Lantern that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of superhero stuff, you know that generally in universes of superhero stuff, they have a superhero mantle, Batman or whatever. And it's usually the main guy. And then at some point, that guy dies or goes on a quest or something. And then another guy takes up the mantle of Batman. And then somebody else does. And then they get tired of it and restart the universe. And they're like, okay, it's actually 2042 and whatever. And they do that. And so Superman, there's kind of only one Superman. You can't put on the cape with your face exposed and just be a different guy. Batman, there's been a couple, but mostly just one Batman and a handful of Robins. Green Lantern, there's been a good handful. So a lot of people know the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, the super flop of a movie with terrible CGI and whatever. That guy, Hal Jordan, is like an Air Force pilot or something and then gets chosen to be the Green Lantern because he finds another Green Lantern on Earth dying. Like an alien kind of one, he becomes that. That's not the one I grew up with. I grew up with Jon Stewart from Justice League, the animated series.
Okay,
So Jon Stewart, an African-American Green Lantern. I don't really know his background, but I assume some sort of military or something.
Yeah.
But he's like one of the more powerful Green Lanterns and also strong character. Green Lanterns are all built on...
smart.
Yeah, they're all built on courage and bravery and will. I feel like I'm missing the mark a tiny bit on how to describe them. But there's all these different Lantern corps, like the Marine Corps, but like Lantern Corps. And so they're all powered by an emotion. So the Green Lanterns are powered by hope, I think, or maybe will. The Yellow Lanterns are powered by like greed or something like that. Red Lanterns are hate. There's all these other ones, and they're all for these different emotions. And so
willpower, you're right.
Willpower, and so they all kind of have to have character and courage and whatever, bravery. So the fact that it wasn't Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, it wasn't Hal Jordan, it wasn't the third guy's like Raven something or something, Riley or whatever, who kind of has a checkered past. It was Guy Gardner, the kind of well known as the weakest and worst character, like moral character, Green Lantern that DC has ever had in my understanding. But also the most ruthless. So he's weak. Compared to the other ones, but kind of like boastful and acts really strong, and then like overcompensates for his weakness by being really ruthless. When his enemies are on their heels.
So here's something that maybe you didn't know that makes a lot of sense. He was a former quarterback and like football player.
That makes so much sense.
So he's like the star quarterback that ended up getting a ring. So
I deserve this ring. Where everybody else is like fighting to be worthy, he's like, of course I got it.
So that's hilarious.
He's just kind of next to Superman, being an optimist, being a hero, trying to save everybody in the least amount of casualties. Guy Gardner just being an absolute butthole.
He's a jerk. Like, you're like,
so funny.
I think that's part of that scene that I was describing in the office, that Lois and Superman are having this very intense emotional conversation, existential crisis. And there's this evil being that is somehow like octopus looking jelly thing in the background of this shot that is super colorful and whatever. And watching the Justice Gang fight this thing while you're having, it was some of the most hilarious, but at the same time, like, it just felt so real. And watching all the things that Guy was using to fight it with was like, why are you using that? Like, what are you
I don't want
doing?
to spoil half of the other stuff he does in the movie, but
It's in the trailers.
Great
That's
choice.
part of it. It's just in the trailer. I just think some of what he does and the lines that he does, it feels so like the way that Nathan Fillion plays the character, it fits so well. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But it's not what you're expecting.
No. You expect somebody full of valor and honor and whatever. And he has willpower because of a easily bruised ego.
Arrogant.
It's like, I will not lose. I will not be made to be a fool. And that like launches him into.
And I really like the way they did Mr. Terrific. I'd never heard of Mr. Terrific. I didn't know who he was. I thought he was going to be
kind of an Iron Man-esque.
Yeah, like
but
really
way
smart.
different application on the little parts. Like, what does my technology do to help me fight people? Way different.
Yep. But and it was super fun, and his personality being so dry and straightforward, it fit really well with how the other characters were also like Superman's super like emotional and is struggling with his self-esteem, and then Guy is like super arrogant and like a jerk, and this guy is just like black and white, like this is the right thing to do, or no, you're an idiot. Why would you do that? And it felt so like a good puzzle pieces. Yeah, it just fit together really well.
It was cast really well and directed really well. We love it. I think the thing, we were talking about this before, and you just alluded to it a couple minutes ago, but the thing that made this movie a success, and it's the same thing that has been lacking in a lot of the Marvel movies recently that has made them a failure, is the villain and the conflict.
Yeah.
So not just the villain, but what is the tension? What is the conflict? So comparing this to the newest Captain America movie with Red Hulk.
Yeah.
That movie had a lot of cool shots. That movie had the same casting and so well worn in characters who have an identity and have like they're established. The thing that made that movie suffer was that they didn't spend time in the script or in the runtime of the movie building up why characters care, what they're struggling with that's going to make this decision hard or make success like less attainable, and not enough runtime with the tension conflict in the movie actually being a conflict.
Yep.
So to fully spoil that movie, medium spoil it, there's a conflict in the Pacific Ocean between different nations. The U.S. gets involved. If that happened today, we'd all be like, we'd see Twitter flooded with like World War III ?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this the end of the world? They set up that tension and held that tension for a total of like 2.5 minutes, where Marvel for a while had Thanos in the background and had growing tension for 15 years.
Yep.
And you really felt it the last 5 years. And then they had 2 movies separately, Infinity War, that set up the tension so strong, and then Cliffhanger, and then a year. But they thought, like, for some reason, it's okay to have the tension in this movie be about 2.5 minutes. And then nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's dissolved, and then you don't have any tension. You're just finding out information for like an hour or whatever. And then the final battle, tension for maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah. See, and so I haven't even seen it because they just have not.
It's the same thing that happened with, I'm thinking of a DC movie, but I can't think of it. Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is that one. And Superman dies at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the villain, who I think is Doomsday or the other guy. But I think it's Doomsday.
Yep.
That's a like Thanos level powerful villain in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time coming, a huge fear, a like massive threat. They started and finished that fight in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
What a wasted opportunity. You don't give anybody the chance to feel the tension of like, are we going to lose?
Yeah.
It's just kind of going and going and going, and then it's over. It's like really short-lived. How did he get taken out or whatever after Superman dies? Like,
that's what I'm like, in my mind, there's 2 things that they have to do from this movie.
Yeah.
One is they have to realize what they have. And I don't know if James Gunn's going to be able to do all of them, but they better recognize what they have. And I do want to say, too, that I think Snyder's had a vision for what they were going to do, but his wife got really sick, and she had to take care of her. And that's part of the reason it just stalled out. It was kind of just a bummer. Yeah. I'm hoping this is a similar thing. One, they just have to keep it to where it feels like it's the same universe. Yeah. And they can't do this up and down, grunge, non-grunge, lighthearted.
Yeah.
They have to keep it real. And that's going to be one of the hard things. And then 2, why would you not just do the same thing that Marvel just did and just play the same cards? They played so many similar cards to the Guardians of the Galaxy and some of the other movies in this, because he also directed that.
Done with some originality.
Yes, 100%. I don't feel like I was just straight like carbon copy. It just felt like he knew that people really enjoyed this style, and I know how to do that. And it's just a him thing. I don't think it's even like Marvel movies. I think if they just drop Darkseid or Apocalypse as the cutscene, or just at some point, just drop him in and like talk about it in a way that they're learning a little bit, they're starting to pick up on stuff. There is so many plot lines that they could do that would just be so much fun. There's teleporting. There's all these things. There's the putting this space station together. Like all these cool things that they could do that would be incredible. And I think they're going to have to work on this. Is that I don't think they can go back and cast any of the same members that they've had before.
Yeah.
I think they need a new Aquaman.
In the old DC universe.
I think they need a new Batman. I think they need all new for this era. I think if they try to lump those in, I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work.
Superman for sure not, because they already have a new Superman.
Well, and that's what I mean.
There is talk that so Jason Momoa played Aquaman. He's almost certainly not going to do that again. I don't even know if they're going to use an Aquaman. But there was talk that I heard in interviews with James Gunn immediately. The moment it was announced that James Gunn was going to be directing this Superman movie, Jason Momoa texted him and asked if he could play Lobo. You familiar with that guy?
Nope.
Okay. Lobo is a like gray-skinned, red eyes, black hair, intergalactic biker who is an anti-hero but full chaos.
That's awesome.
That's Jason Momoa.
I would love that. I would love that character.
So like pretty ruthless, like a way tougher Deadpool sort of character.
Yeah.
Where he's like hard to kill or impossible to kill, but then super strong, like ripped, whatever biker. That would be a super fun. I don't know who he would be the villain for.
Having him not be the character that he was before, I'm totally fine with that. Because like I was thinking of characters like that I would want to see, and I was thinking like Glenn Powell could come in and just play an amazing, Aquaman. Yeah, like I was thinking he could do.
He's so blonde, he has to.
And I was thinking he could be hilarious, and because Aquaman,
or he could be the Flash, but I don't know if he's too wide.
I feel like the Flash is going to need like. Timothy Chalamet or something. Chalamet. He just somebody that's really, because the Flash is always just not knocking Flash people, but he's never been given a full good actor to play him, if that makes sense. And I would love to see that character, because Barry's story is amazing. It's such a cool story. Anyway, I was just those are the two things that I'm worried about, is that they're not gonna keep the momentum. They're gonna lose sight of what they had, and then they're going to go to what they think will bring in the people rather than taking the risks to put new people in the roles.
Now, what's hard is Marvel did that, and they did it successfully with a bunch of different directors, but one guy overseeing
the whole thing. The brothers, right? The two brothers?
Nope, those are some of the directors.
Okay.
But Kevin Feige's the oversight over it, and he's still the oversight over the stuff that isn't working.
Yep.
But maybe they're scrambling because of what's his bucket, who's going to be Kang, who had some legal stuff. And whatever. Anyway, but you can't have James Gunn direct 14 DC movies.
No.
So what do you do to create continuity and vision and direction between different directors to maintain this James Gunn?
And you got to remember, like when they did Iron Man, they didn't know necessarily everything that was going to work. But
they planted seeds because they've read the comics.
Exactly. And so I think that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That's the only critique I had of the movie was, what am I coming back to? There was nothing of like, this is what the future is going to be like.
There was nothing predictive, but there were almost every single opening held open. Mm-hmm. So mega spoilers.
Yeah,
if you have not seen the movie,
turn it off now. Yeah.
Mute it for the next 30 seconds.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. So Lex Luthor doesn't die.
Yep.
He's arrested.
Yep.
Ultraman doesn't necessarily die. He gets sucked into a black hole, but also he's very strong. Does he live?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. And then almost the whole staff of LexCorp, like they're arrested. They can come back out.
Oh, and I agree. And like just
the same Batman Joker. Put Joker in prison. He'll be out in 2-3 weeks.
Yep. Well, and just Supergirl and the whole thing.
Supergirl.
So, like I guess what I was saying is I just wanted this sounds terrible, but like all they had to do was just show a Joker card. They may not even go Joker. But you know what I mean? But just like a lure to that idea that somewhere down the road, or just shoot like a sign of like a probe that was like from Darkseid that like just goes back to him. You know, it's like, oh, you know, the Justice team just took.
But they already just used all those people in the.
I know. But see, but that's the whole point. Is like,
so they probably want to find different villains.
Yep.
Not Doomsday, not Darkseid, not
Apocalypse,
Steppenwolf. Did they use Apocalypse? I don't think they did.
They can't. That's what I'm saying. I would want Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I would want Apocalypse. I would want them to do
There's
something.
so many other villains. Or Sinestro.
Yep.
With the Yellow Lanterns at this point, I think. Or like,
this is super nerdy.
Yeah.
Super nerdy.
So sorry.
No. But I think that's the whole point. Is like if they would have done that, I would have been
some seed of some person.
So excited. Just give me a chance to dream a little, because that's what Marvel, when it had full momentum. Those cutscenes, you left the theater just going like, oh my goodness. And then you just walked out of there and talked about it.
Now, this is the first of hopefully a new era. They were probably, to some degree, like, first of all, we don't want to just copy everything Marvel does. Second of all, we want to see if this works.
Yep. Oh, I agree. I think that I hope they're scrambling right now to get a plan for the next 5 to 10 years. And I know production on these movies can take a lot, and it's a lot of money. But
I'll give them that money.
And here's the funny thing: like, I think because Marvel went first, DC is going to have to pay a bigger bill because they took the risk, right? But now they know that that's possible.
They've built up the industry.
Yep.
So now the expectations are higher and whatever.
Well, if you've lasted this long, you are a nerd like us, and you probably already bought Ryan's book, but you should. If you haven't.
I'm feeling tired. I need to fly back into the yellow sun.
Well, I will say it was definitely a fun ride, and it's worth looking into the rating and the content that's in the movie. But I think it's age appropriate at PG-13. There's obviously not everything in a movie, but the world isn't built that way either. So let that be conversation starters if you have young kids, and remind yourself that this is not the real world.
Yeah. There's almost no foul language. There's maybe 3 or so total words. There's almost no sexual content. I don't think there really is any.
No. There's a couple kissing scenes, but that's it.
That's it. Yep.
So, and I will say Superman does get the crud beat out of him a lot.
A bunch.
So, there is a little bit of that.
But there's not excessive gore anywhere.
No. I mean, honestly, that first opening scene is probably the worst, but.
And then the X-ray into the big monster.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, everything with the big monster. Anyway, okay, done with that.
Well, appreciate you watching, and let us know in the comments if you liked the movie or things that we missed that maybe we didn't think about, or give us your ideas of what you think they need to do next. Feel free to come and find us and tell us what you think. And if you go and see the movie and you like it, share this video.
Yeah,
and like the video, and let us know if you want more videos like this. We love good movies.
Yeah.
And so we're huge fans of that. As always, leave us a review, subscribe if you haven't. And reminder, we are doing the C.S. Lewis books for the summer.
The Space Trilogy.
The Space Trilogy.
Paralandria, Out of the
Silent Planet. And I can't remember the last one.
The other one.
So,
and the I almost said Chronicles of Riddick, but I meant The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's the other one.
Yep.
Kidding.
Just
Fully
kidding. That's
that.
not the Space Turtle. Nope. Well, listen to those, and then looking for that podcast. And if you haven't watched the last podcast that we just released where I mess with Ryan's brain, it's a really good, it's a really fun, silly
I'm trying
podcast.
out to be the next Lex Luthor.
Your brain is ridiculous. Well, as always, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you, Mom. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a great, glorious day in the Lord. We'll see you later.
See ya.